Okay, imagine this. You've poured absolutely everything into something. I mean, your heart, your soul, maybe it's a huge project. A new business idea could even be a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You've worked like crazy, dreamt about it succeeding, pictured yourself winning, and then bam, it just falls apart.
Ugh, yeah. That feeling.
That horrible, gut-wrenching feeling kicks in. Maybe you're lying awake all night, just replaying every single mistake over and over like some terrible movie loop.
It feels like everything's just slipping away like sand through your fingers.
Exactly, and that little whisper starts in your head, Am I a failure?
It's such a deeply uncomfortable feeling, isn't it? Almost universal, I think. That moment where it all feels out of control, you're just stuck overthinking, doubting everything.
I totally see that. And, well, that exact feeling, that's what we're really digging into today.
Right.
This deep dive, it isn't about trying to magically avoid failure, because let's be honest, that's just not possible, is it?
Not at all. It's part of the process.
Instead, it's about fundamentally changing how you relate to failure. So our mission today is to unpack this fear, understand where it actually comes from. Some of the roots are quite surprising, and give you some powerful psychological, emotional strategies.
Strategies to turn those moments that feel crushing, those setbacks, into genuine stepping stones for a more fulfilling life.
Exactly. We've pulled together some fascinating research, some really practical tools to help us navigate this.
Okay, sounds good.
So let's start by unpacking the fear itself. There's actually a clinical term for an intense fear of failure. It's called aticophobia.
Aticophobia. Yeah, and it's technically considered a type of anxiety disorder. You might even recognize some of the signs maybe in yourself, or perhaps you see it in people around you.
How does it, show up?
Well, it manifests in a few key ways. You might notice just a real reluctance to try new things, or maybe avoiding challenging projects, even ones that could seriously help you grow or advance. Or, and this is a tricky one, you might see self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Like maybe not preparing properly for a job interview because deep down you sort of believe you won't get it anyway.
Oh, that's insidious, isn't it? Your own mind basically proving its worst fears, right?
Exactly. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And internally, it can feel like a constant loop of negative self-talk, maybe catastrophizing, thinking the worst possible outcome is inevitable, or even intense physical anxiety, sweating, rapid heartbeat, feeling nauseous.
Right. Real physical stuff.
Yeah. And beyond that internal turmoil, aticophobia can also look like this overwhelming fear of disappointing other people.
The external pressure.
Which paradoxically can sometimes lead to a kind of indifference toward big career goals. Like, why aim high if the fall feels too risky? People might also rigidly stick to familiar ground, same environment, same projects, same people, just avoiding anything new or unpredictable.
It sounds like building your own cage, really, sticking only to what feels safe.
That's a good way to put it. A self-imposed cage.
But what builds that cage? I mean, where does this deep-seated fear actually come from? What are the roots?
The roots are surprisingly varied, actually. Perfectionism is a huge one. That sort of paralyzing need for everything to be absolutely flawless.
If it can't be perfect, why bother starting, right?
Exactly. So if it's not perfect, it feels like a failure, so you just avoid it. Then there are negative past experiences, especially things from early childhood. Maybe environments where mistakes weren't treated as learning moments, but were, condemned.
Yeah.
Maybe with shame or punishment.
So if a kid gets shamed for messing up, that really sticks. Psychologically, what's happening there?
Well, it basically encodes this deep belief that making mistakes is fundamentally bad, rather than just, a normal part of figuring things out and growing.
Okay.
External pressures are another big factor, just feeling swamped by other people's standards, constantly worried about judgment or rejection. And that ties closely into low self-esteem too. Well, if you feel you constantly need to prove your worth, always seeking that validation from outside, you're naturally going to avoid situations where you might make a mistake and not get that validation.
Makes sense. And it's not just your own direct experiences, right? You can kind of learn this fear by watching others.
Absolutely. That's observational learned behavior. If you see important figures in your life handle failure poorly, maybe with anger or giving up, you can internalize that fear. It's like inheriting their struggle with it.
Wow.
And here's a really fascinating twist. Sometimes there's even a fear of success.
Fear of success. That sounds counterintuitive.
It does, but think about it. Success often brings more responsibility, maybe more visibility, higher expectations from others. And some people are genuinely apprehensive about handling that extra pressure.
Huh. That is a genuine paradox, fearing success almost as much as failure. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. There's a really foundational concept here that hugely shapes how we deal with failure. It's Carol Dweck's work on mindsets.
Oh, yeah. Dweck's research is truly transformative. It really changes how you think about learning and challenges.
So she basically divides people into two camps, right? Fixed versus growth mindset.
That's the core idea. So with a fixed mindset, you fundamentally believe your intelligence, your talents, your abilities, they're just static. You've got a certain amount, and that's it.
You either have it or you don't.
Precisely. And that belief often leads people to avoid challenges. Why risk attempting something difficult if it might expose what you see as a fixed deficiency? It's about protecting your self-image of being smart.
Right. And if you hit an obstacle with that fixed mindset, you might just give up easily. Because, well, what's the point of effort if your abilities are fixed?
Exactly. Effort feels fruitless. And any criticism, even if it's met constructively, often gets taken really personally. It feels like an insult because it challenges that static view of yourself.
And seeing other people succeed, how does that fit in?
That often feels threatening. It's like a zero-sum game. If they win, it somehow means you lose because it highlights your own perceived fixed limitations.
The end result of all that.
Often it's plateauing early. People achieve less than they could because they're so focused on looking smart rather than actually getting smarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but then there's the other side, the growth mindset. And this is where it gets really empowering.
Totally. With a growth mindset, the core belief shifts. You see intelligence and abilities more like a muscle. They can be developed, strengthened through dedication and hard work.
So effort is key.
Effort is crucial. This outlook makes you actually embrace challenges, seeing them as prime opportunities to learn and grow. You understand that feeling uncomfortable or struggling. That's just a sign you're stretching yourself, strengthening that muscle.
So instead of giving up when things get tough,
You persist. You see setbacks not as proof of your adequacy, but just as part of the learning curve. Effort becomes the clear path to mastery.
and criticism.
Criticism isn't a personal attack anymore. It's just valuable feedback on where you are right now, data you can use to improve. It's an invitation to get better, not a judgment on your identity.
And the success of others.
That becomes inspiring. You look for lessons, you see what they did right, you feel motivated, not threatened.
The impact of this shift is huge, isn't it? You mentioned Dweck's study.
Yeah, her study with those 7th graders who were struggling in math was just remarkable. They taught one group about the growth mindset, explaining how the brain gets stronger with exercise, like a muscle. And even when other teaching methods hadn't worked.
What happens?
Those students, the ones taught the growth mindset, showed significant jumps in both motivation and their actual math grades. It's powerful proof that your belief system directly fuels your effort and potential.
It really gives you a sense of agency, of free will in your own development.
Absolutely. You realize you can reach higher levels of achievement.
Okay, so that's the mindset piece. Understanding learning is dynamic, which brings us perfectly to the next part. How do we actively embrace mistakes and really cultivate learning from them?
Well, first, it's critical just to remember, really internalize, that even the absolute most successful people fail. Constantly. It's not just normal, it's often a really necessary part of the journey to success.
Like building blocks.
Exactly. There's a great quote from educational expert Michelle Connolly, something like, "Mistakes are the stepping stones to learning. They shouldn't be feared but embraced for their powerful lessons."
And there's actual science behind this, right? In the brain.
Oh yeah, fascinating stuff. When you make an error, a part of your brain called the cingulate cortex, it's involved in emotional processing and learning. It literally lights up. It's your brain basically flagging it, saying, "Whoa, pay attention to that. Didn't work as planned. Let's adjust for next time."
So it's not just a nice idea, it's a neurological process. Your brain is actively trying to learn by highlighting that mistake.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It flags it for deeper processing so you don't repeat it. And think about it. Trial and error is just a fundamental, natural way humans learn and innovate. The discovery of penicillin by Alexander Fleming. That was a huge breakthrough from what he initially saw as a contamination, a mistake in his lab.
Wow, that's a great example.
So actively engaging with errors, figuring out why they happened, learning from them, that creates much deeper neural connections, a more robust learning experience than if you just tried to avoid mistakes altogether.
Okay, so we get the mindset shift, we understand the brain science. How do we actually do this day to day? What are some real actionable strategies?
A really powerful first step is to consciously adopt a beginner's mindset.
Beginner's mindset, what does that look like?
It means approaching new things with curiosity, like an explorer, rather than with this pressure to be perfect immediately. It's okay not to nail it on the first try. That's just part of learning anything new. Less expert, more student.
I like that reframe. Explorer, not expert. What else?
Well, when you do feel stuck or anxious about failing, seriously, talk to someone you trust. A friend, a mentor, maybe a therapist. Getting an outside perspective can offer new insights and honestly just remind you of your strengths when you're kind of lost in the fear.
Yeah, sometimes you just need someone else to reflect your capabilities back to you.
Exactly. And it's also vital to actively fight back against those negative thought loops. Instead of just ruminating on everything that could go wrong, consciously think about alternatives. Visualize success. Picture yourself actually achieving the goal.
Does that really work? Visualizing success.
It does. It's not just wishful thinking. It actually primes your brain for positive action and can boost performance. And another thing people often overlook, consider the cost of not trying.
What do you mean?
Well, often, that long-term regret of never even attempting something you cared about, that can be far worse than the sting of trying and failing. Missing out on opportunities definitely has its own hidden price tag.
That's a really important point. The what-ifs can haunt you.
They really can. And related to that, here's a powerful mantra I like. Be afraid, but do it anyway. Courage isn't about not feeling fear. It's about deciding to move forward, despite the fear. You'll often surprise yourself with what you can actually accomplish when you push through it.
So feel the fear and do it anyway.
Right. And this links to the idea of taking risks, but incrementally. Don't feel you have to leap off a cliff. Break down big, scary goals into smaller, more manageable steps. Taking small risks consistently makes you more comfortable stepping outside that comfort zone over time.
Practice makes progress, essentially.
Exactly. And part of that practice is getting comfortable with rejection. Because let's face it, rejection happens. It's normal. With a growth mindset, it stops feeling like a personal indictment and starts feeling like feedback, like data pointing you toward what to try next.
So each no gets you closer to a yes, in a way.
In a way, yes. And to really build that muscle, make it a habit to try new things often. Regularly putting yourself in situations where you feel a bit awkward or unsure, that builds familiarity with discomfort, which, as we said, is often just a sign you're growing, expanding your horizons.
Okay, those are great general strategies. Let's zoom in a bit. What about the workplace? The pressure to succeed there can feel really intense. How do we handle fear in that specific environment?
Yeah, the workplace definitely adds layers. One really useful strategy is to consciously identify the benefits you gain from past failures at work.
Benefits from failures, like what?
Okay, think about a mistake you made. Maybe an embarrassing typo in a big email, or you missed a deadline once. Awful at the time, right?
Mortifying.
But reflect now. Did that experience make you more detail-oriented? Did missing the deadline force you to become more efficient with time management? Often those painful moments accidentally built positive traits, like grit or better planning skills.
Ah, I see. Finding the hidden lesson or skill that came out of it.
Precisely. And hey, pro tip. While you're reflecting on that, also take a moment to brainstorm your past successes. Remind yourself of what you have achieved to balance things out and boost your confidence.
Good call. Balance is key. Not just dwelling on the mistake, but seeing the growth and remembering your wins.
Exactly. Another tactic for work, especially high-stakes situations, try to view them as challenges rather than threats.
Okay, challenge versus threat. What's the difference in practice?
When stress kicks in the nerves, the adrenaline, instead of interpreting that as, oh no, this is overwhelming, I might fail, try reframing it as, okay, this is important, this is excitement, energy I can use to perform well. That subtle cognitive shift can actually improve your performance under pressure.
So channeling the nerves into fuel, not fear.
You got it. And finally, maybe the most important one, especially at work, treat yourself kindly when things don't go perfectly. Practice self-compassion.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Oh, definitely. But avoid the self-bullying. When you stumble, your brain isn't looking for you to beat yourself up. Research actually shows self-compassion activates parts of the brain linked to self-soothing. It helps you bounce back faster and, crucially, learn more effectively from the mistake than harsh self-criticism does.
So be your own ally, not your inner critic.
Absolutely. That supportive internal dialogue helps you acknowledge the mistake, learn from it, and plan how to do better next time without getting completely crippled by shame or fear.
You mentioned internal dialogue. Self-talk is a really powerful tool here, isn't it?
Hugely powerful. There was research, I think, from UNAS showing self-talk is a really effective cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, technique. It's especially good for reducing academic procrastination, which is often tied directly to fear of failure.
How does it help?
It helps you actively challenge and deny those illogical, fear-based beliefs and replace them with healthier, more realistic thoughts. This leads to more positive self-talk overall, and that boosts your sense of self-control.
Right. And this leads to a really profound idea. I think it was from Theorix. You are not the failure.
Yes, that distinction is critical. Failure is an event, an outcome. It's not your identity. The philosopher Epictetus said it centuries ago. It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. Failure is just data. Analyze it, learn from it, but don't fuse it with your sense of self-worth.
That really reframes it, doesn't it? Turns it from an internal flaw into an external problem to solve.
Precisely, which connects to the importance of acceptance and detachment. You need to accept that failure happened without trying to sugarcoat it or rationalize it away. Really analyze how you fell short, understand the dynamics, and then this is key to detach from the immediate outcome.
Detach. How does that help?
Zero attachment to the outcome actually reduces the pressure significantly. It frees you up mentally. Once you've squeezed all the learning out of the experience, you shift your focus back to the work, back to getting up and trying again without carrying the weight of that specific result.
Okay. For people struggling in the moment, when that fear really hits, are there specific prompts or questions that can help?
Yeah, BetterUp suggests 4 really good journaling questions. When you feel that fear creeping in, take a breath, grab a pen, and ask yourself, 1, what am I really afraid of here? Get specific.
Okay.
2, who am I fighting for? Sometimes reminding yourself of loved ones or your bigger why can provide a powerful push. 3, what's the absolute best thing that could happen if I try this? Focus on the positive potential.
Right. Counter the catastrophizing.
Exactly. And 4, how will I recover if I fail? Planning for the possibility, knowing you have a way to bounce back, can make the risk feel less daunting. These questions bring clarity and help you plan action instead of just feeling overwhelmed.
Those are great. Very practical. Now, let's quickly touch on something closely related. Imposter syndrome. That feeling of being a fraud.
Oh yes, imposter syndrome and fear of failure are often deeply intertwined. That nagging feeling that you don't deserve your achievements, that you're going to be found out, it's incredibly common.
How do you tackle that?
A lot of it comes down to adjusting some fundamental assumptions you might hold about yourself and the world.
Okay, like what?
Well, assumption number 1 to challenge. That only certain types of experiences or achievements have value. A PhD is valuable, sure. But so is the wisdom you gain navigating a really tough personal situation like a divorce or raising kids as a single parent. Every unique life experience brings a rich perspective.
So valuing all kinds of knowing and doing.
Exactly. Once you genuinely accept that all experiences hold value, it makes it easier to respect everyone, including yourself, and fear no one's judgment quite as much.
Okay, what's assumption number 2?
Recognizing that everyone, even the people who look like superstars from the outside, has their own struggles, pains, stresses, worries about health, money, relationships. Everyone carries some kind of baggage. Knowing this helps equalize things in your mind. It reduces that feeling that everyone else has it all figured out except you.
That's a comforting thought, actually. The universality of struggle.
It really is. And the third assumption to challenge, and this one is maybe the most liberating for learning anything new.
Go on.
Nobody escapes the moronic phase of learning.
The moronic phase.
Yeah. When you're learning a new skill, think of 3 phases. First, the moronic phase, you feel clumsy, incompetent, like you're getting everything wrong. It's awkward and humbling.
We've all been there.
Absolutely. Then comes the mediocre phase, where you're competent but maybe not brilliant yet. And finally, you reach the mastery phase. But that first awkward, moronic phase, it's essential. Everyone goes through it. You have to embrace the awkwardness.
You really aren't alone in feeling clumsy when you start something new.
Not at all. Understanding that initial discomfort is just a necessary step, and pushing through it is crucial for achieving anything worthwhile. Challenging these assumptions, valuing all experience, seeing universal struggle, embracing the awkward learning phase lays a really strong foundation for overcoming imposter syndrome.
That makes so much sense. Okay, all these strategies, mindset shifts, they really lead us to our final section. How do we cultivate resilience for lifelong growth? What exactly is resilience?
Resilience is much more than just bouncing back after something tough. It's a really vital psychological resource.
Yeah.
It's about actively adapting in a positive way, fostering personal growth through emotional and mental flexibility when you face adversity.
And it's not something you're just born with.
No, that's the key thing. It's not some innate trait you either have or you don't. It's absolutely a skill that can be cultivated, built up through conscious, consistent practices, like strengthening a muscle.
Okay, so we can actively develop it. How does it help beyond just coping?
Well, it acts as a really important protective factor for your overall mental health. Strong resilience can help reduce the severity of things like anxiety and depression. It promotes a sense of control over your life and fosters a more positive outlook even when things are difficult.
So how do we start building this resilience toolkit? What goes in it?
Firstly, consistently practicing that mindset shift we talked about, viewing setbacks not just as failures, but as genuine opportunities for growth, always asking, what can I learn here?
Okay, seeing challenges as learning paths.
Secondly, setting realistic goals. Using the SMART criteria, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, helps break down big, overwhelming challenges into manageable steps you can actually tackle.
Makes sense. What else?
Nurturing strong social connections is huge. Friends, family, mentors, your community, these relationships provide an essential emotional safety net. They offer support, perspective, just knowing you're not alone.
Don't underestimate the power of connection.
Never. And of course, actively practicing stress management techniques. Things like mindfulness, meditation, even expressive writing. These help you regulate your emotions, stay clear-headed when things get stressful.
Positive reappraisal. What's that?
That's about consciously reframing challenging situations to find the potential growth or learning opportunities hidden within them. It's looking for the silver lining, but in a proactive way.
And seeking professional help when needed.
Absolutely. Therapy, coaching these can provide tailored strategies, coping tools, and support, especially when you're facing really significant hurdles. There's no shame in getting expert guidance.
The thread running through all of this seems to be consistency, right?
Consistency is everything.
Yeah.
Regularly practicing these techniques, even in small ways, is what strengthens your resilience over time. It turns these individual tools into a really robust internal system.
And you mentioned feedback and retrieval practice earlier. How do they fit into resilience?
Well, they're powerful ways to learn from mistakes, which inherently builds resilience. Getting corrective feedback helps you identify where you went wrong and how to improve. That builds competence and confidence. And retrieval practice, actively testing yourself, reviewing errors, strengthens your understanding and memory, making you feel more capable of handling challenges. It's like mental weightlifting.
Mental weightlifting, I like that. And what's this idea about resilience leading to something beyond just recovery? Post-traumatic growth.
Yeah, this is really fascinating. Post-traumatic growth is where individuals actually report significant personal development following a traumatic or highly stressful experience.
So not just getting back to baseline, but growing beyond it.
Exactly. People might find new meaning or purpose in life. Their relationships might deepen. They might develop a greater appreciation for life itself. It's a powerful testament to the human capacity not just to endure hardship, but to actually evolve and thrive because of it.
Wow. That's quite profound. Okay, so let's try and bring all this together. The fear of failure, it's universal. We all feel it.
Definitely. Feeling it is normal. It's not a sign of weakness at all. But, and this is the crucial part, it absolutely does not have to control your life.
By understanding what's going on, iatrophobia, the roots like perfectionism or past experiences, and especially by embracing that growth mindset.
You can fundamentally change your relationship with setbacks. Mistakes stop being the end of the world and start being what they really are. Invaluable teachers. Data points.
And by actively using these strategies we've talked about, like positive self-talk, being kind to yourself with self-compassion, asking those clarifying questions, building resilience step by step.
You cultivate the mindset, yes, and also the internal resources to learn from every experience, good or bad. It's not about trying to eliminate failure because, well, that's impossible.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating the wisdom, the strength, the flexibility to keep growing, keep adapting, and ultimately build a more fulfilling life, no matter what challenges pop up along the way.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, our listener, with something to think about. Consider a moment, maybe recently, where you felt that sting of failure. Could be something big, could be small. Now, thinking about everything we've discussed today, what's one small step, just one you could take right now? Maybe it's changing your internal dialogue about it. Maybe it's reaching out to talk to that trusted friend. Maybe it's just consciously looking for one hidden benefit or lesson in that experience. What one small action could help you transform that moment from feeling like a roadblock into feeling like a launch pad for your next bit of growth?